is up, Mets fans? Welcome to another Mets Roundtable podcast right here on YouTube, X, and of course on the PSF app. We got a full roundtable today, guys. If you're watching on the PSF app right now, just so you know, we got Hector from Washington Heights. If you know him from WFAN, you'll know his voice when you hear him. You're going to hear Hector, you're going to hear Chris, and you're going to hear Hayden. That's a part of the YouTube roundtable on my channel and Chris's channel as well. So make sure you subscribe to their channels and follow them on X as well. So welcome on the PSF, and of course, you guys, welcome on YouTube as well. So we're gonna get started, of course, with saying what up to everybody. We're gonna start with Hector. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here once again. How you doing, man? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good. We gotta be doing good. After this week we just had, we gotta be doing pretty good, coming off a sweep, and looking forward to this Dodgers series for now.
Absolutely. Chris, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Rob? Always a pleasure. Obviously, the post game yesterday, we were hype. Yeah, great time to be a Mets fan, man. It's a great time to be a Mets fan. I hope everybody in the chat. I see Carlos in here. I see Darren in here. Daniel, everybody. Salute to you all for being here. Thank you for supporting. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your family to catch the roundtable weekly for all your latest Mets in-week review. That's all I can say. We bring the energy, we bring the hype, and this team is playing great baseball, and that's what it's all about. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Hayden, how you doing? The college man over here.
Yeah, what's going on? About 2 weeks left, but yeah, let's talk with Hayden. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, you guys know me by now. Great series. Satisfied as a Mets fan. 2 weeks ago I was ready to hit my head against the brick wall, and now I'm jumping over the wall, I guess, in excitement. So yeah, otherwise super excited and good to be here, and excited to be talking Mets with you three. So yeah, LGM.
Absolutely. So again, guys, on the PSF app, if you're listening right now, we are simulcasting right now on YouTube as well. I'm talking Mets with Rob and CP Mets and Knicks on Chris's channel as well, and we're also live on X as well. So Hector, CP, and Hayden, this is our roundtable. We do it weekly, as Chris said. We change up the times. Usually we try to do it on the Mets off day, so we have an idea of when we can get more people on our channels and on the app as well, and talk about the weekly recap and what's coming up for our New York Mets. So let's get started with the record, 10-8 right now, 2 games over 500. Great way to end the homestand. 8-2 in their last 10 out of their last 13. I mean, you really can't ask for more after an 0-5, 1-5 start. And that's exactly what we were looking for from this team. And I'm going to start with Hector because I know you were pumped. I know you were excited. I mean, we saw you on X with your blunt thoughts and all that stuff. Morning news, afternoon, all day, every day. So give us your thoughts about the 10-8 record, 8-2 in their last 10 out of the last 13. Let me get your thoughts on that.
I mean, where do I start? Is great. And listen, after the 0-5 start, like what I forget who Hayden touched on before, we were all feeling down. I mean, and you keep in mind that the season just started, and it's did I lose you guys? Well, Hayden, it's you and I. It's a long season. I hope these guys come back, or at least I lost them for now. It's a long season, so you try to keep that in mind, but it just felt like a continuation still of what we saw last year, so it bothers you. You get frustrated, and you react to it, and I react to it like you said. I do morning thoughts, afternoon thoughts, whatever. Whenever something comes to mind, I do it. I do after the game reactions and all of that, and there was really nothing positive to react, but lately it's been awesome, and just the way that they've been playing, right? For me, I just call it playing baseball. People call it small ball. People call it whatever. They're just playing baseball, doing whatever it takes to win. Laying the bunt down, taking the extra base, whatever it is, they're getting it done. So it's a good time to be a fan right now. It's exciting. And, you realize, okay, they've been pretty hot. The record is outrageous. They're not going to keep that pace up. But you just hope that it's going to be somewhere in between, right? Somewhere between the 0-5 and now I forget what the record is now, 10-2 10-2, 10-3, whatever the heck it is, 8-3, whatever that great number is that's got into to 10-8. You know there's going to be an in between there, but you enjoy it for now. As much as you get down when it's bad, you try to enjoy it when it's good too, and not trying to get too high, too low. But yeah, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, and I'm looking forward to this Dodgers series because that's going to be the real test. One thing I've been is frustrated the last couple of series. Everybody, this is going to be a challenge for the Mets. There's going to be a test for the Mets. Man, whatever with these teams. These teams are trying to be good. They're not perennial, contenders or anything like that. They've been through their times, and they're trying to turn it around. But this is a real test. But we'll get into that eventually later on tonight. But yeah, that's how I feel. I feel real good.
Yeah, I already have my thoughts about the Dodgers, and I'll get to that after I get to everybody else's thoughts. Chris, 10-8, 8-2, 10 out of the last 13, sweep of the Pirates. What do you got for us right now? What's your thoughts about this last 13 games, really?
I can't wait to hear your Dodgers rant, Rob. It's going to be epic. But nonetheless, dude, listen, we're playing fantastic baseball, right? I always like to nitpick, and obviously I like to play devil's advocate about, we need to be better situationally hitting. The starters need to go longer. XYZ needs to perform. Lindor, Alvarez, etc. Listen, all of that goes out the window when you look at the last 10 out of 13 games because this team could have bent over, rolled over, however you want to call it, after the first 5 games after an 0-5 start. And I'm going to keep saying that because when we talk about the difference between 2023 and now the early goings of 2024, it's about the mental toughness and resilience of this team. Last year's team, right? Once you go to a losing record, you're not getting it back. You're never fighting back. And now we're 2 games over 500. And just the overall energy of this team. There was no energy anytime, at any point that I felt the New York Mets in 2023 played with, maybe early on in April when Pete Alonso hit the game-tying grand slam, when Francisco Alvarez hit the game-tying 3-run home run in the 9th inning. And I only remember that because I was live for those games and we were live on YouTube. Coincidentally. But aside from that, I don't remember any point where I felt such energy from the Mets in 2023. And that's a nice little difference here in the early goings of this season. Now, obviously, that needs to be the course and par for the course over the the course of the whole 2024. But I think Carlos Mendoza is that game changer. I've been giving him a lot of props. We talked about him on the post game yesterday. This Pittsburgh Pirates series, I feel like not only for me, but for a lot of the Mets fan base, was really the point where we can say, okay, we're starting to get over our fears of a first-time manager, first-year manager, and we can really potentially start to buy into the guy. Now, the jury's still out whether he's going to be a great manager or not in 2024 and beyond. Obviously, right? A couple weeks is not going to change that. But you can start to feel a little bit of a difference where he's got his guys' backs. He's hyping the dugout. He's being that true leader that we really have been lacking for the last couple of seasons in that dugout. Now, like I said, no disrespect to Buck Showalter. The Mets did a fantastic thing under him in 2022. But looking at Carlos Mendoza just getting hype in that dugout after the double steal, making sure he runs out there first thing to not get screwed over on that balk by the Pittsburgh Pirates reliever to get to balk in the go-ahead run. Those are the subtle differences that I look at, and I'm like, okay, that guy, I can go to war with that guy. And I'm sure the players feel the same thing. So you're seeing the results right now. We weren't seeing it early on. I love the way this team is playing. And I think that just like Hector touched on it right on the field, but I'm taking a look at what's happening like up top, right? With the manager, with the GM, with the owner, who's been a little bit more active on Twitter now, trying to pump up the guys, right? And he started doing that in this fun stretch. He went on and took to Twitter. And we can all sit here and laugh at that, but Steve Cohen is facing the public and saying, we're going to get this right. And I like it. Top to bottom right now, organizationally and on the field, both of those things, because it takes 2 of those things to be a successful organization. You have to be successful up in the boxes, right? And you have to be successful in the dugout with the players and the manager. And the Mets are clicking on all cylinders and hitting all of those boxes right now. And that's what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's funny about that? Because, it was a team effort. Like, you can go from, like you said, Mendoza, you can go from this guy, that guy. You can pick a player on the team, you can pick a coach on the team, and somebody did something over this stretch of games that help us win a ball game. And like you said, Chris, Mendoza gets a lot of credit. So let's finish it up here with Hayden when it comes to your thoughts about the 10-2, 10 wins out of the last 13, 10-8 record, 8-2 out of the last 10, and the sweep of the Pirates. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, yeah, phenomenal stuff. Like, kind of like everyone said, and I'll touch on it. This team could have easily just started off 0-5, just continue to die out, go 0-10, 2-8. They could have easily just died out and not shown any life. Who knows? Maybe it was just a slow start. Certain guys, certain key contributors didn't get a whole lot of time in spring training to, play. Guys like McNeil, guys like Nimmo. So maybe they just needed time to warm up. Who knows? Kind of just get a sense of urgency in them to get fired up at the big league level. But phenomenal series against Pittsburgh. I mean, this was a series I was going into a little bit questionable. The Pirates were playing hot, and considering last year we went into Pittsburgh and they really just beat us on the top of the head. So it was nice to, kind of return the favor to Pittsburgh. They're coming into us red hot. We kind of just literally beat up on them. All 3 games you were down, you came back, especially in games 1 and 3. You were down by multiple runs and came back. Very clutch hitting, 8th hitting, clutch hitting, and just being able to produce with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. That's one of the biggest challenges that this team has had. So super happy to see them actually thrive in that. The bullpen, tip of the cap to them. I mean, they're my winner. If we are giving any this week, the bullpen has been phenomenal. Diaz, Drew Smith, Brooks Raley, Adam Ottavino. Everyone. Jorge Lopez. Who's the lefty that throws? What's his name? Yeah, Diekman. Everyone's been in that bullpen has been doing great. And Mets have one of the best bullpen ERAs and best bullpen stats, and that considers the 2 inadequate starts by Michael Tonkin when he blew up. So that goes to show you the bullpen's big, and pitching wins championships, as simple as it is. We saw in 2015, you had an adequate lineup and pitching to back it up. So the hitters can hit the way they are. 1 or 2 guys need to step up, and we'll get into those offensive contributors. But super happy with what we saw in Pittsburgh. The manager, Carlos Mendoza, like you said, Chrissy came out during that balk and was all fired up. That's what you need to see from a manager. And seeing him in the dugout all hyped up after that Nimmo double or this Alonso home run, that's what you like to see. It's early. We'll see. Dodgers are going to be the real test, but we're going to get into that. So, yeah, otherwise, super happy this team came back and showed a message early on. That's what you need. Show a message.
Yeah,
Can I just double up on what Hayden just said? It's everybody, right? You mentioned Diekman and Jorge Lopez, Drew Smith. We know what the guys in the bullpen do, the guys that take the ball almost every single time and you expect it to get locked down, and Adam Ottavino, Brooks Raley, and Edwin Diaz. But when you get into your Drew Smiths, your Jorge Lopez's, your Jake Diekmans, and even the early guys as well, your Reed, Garrett's, right? Everybody's stepping up offensively. Everybody's contributing too, whether it's off the bench for a pinch hit situation or whether they're starting. And you talk about DJ Stewart off to a slow start, has been slowly contributing. Joey Wendell has had a couple of clutch hits while coming off the bench here as well recently. Everybody's contributing. Even Zach Shore. I know it's not translating into the offensive metrics, right? He's taken the offers, but defensively, after that blunder he had in that opening series in the Brewers, he's played a solid third base when he's been called upon with that Brett Beatty injury. So it's literally like everybody. Like that's not an exaggeration, or that's not even like I guess a metaphor anymore. It's literally everybody. So I just want to double up on that.
Yeah. And I'm glad Hayden brought it up with the bullpen, because if it wasn't for the bullpen and the starting rotation, this team wouldn't be where it is right now. I mean, we can be honest about that. Like, yeah, the majority of the games we came back offensively, but that just shows that the offense didn't do nothing early in a lot of these games. They had to come back later in the games. I think they're 1 or 2 in 8th innings or later runs this year. I think the Braves have more. So, it shows you that the pitching gave this offense time to come back in ball games. And I love the fact that Hayden brought up the bullpen, because it's leading right up to the first topic, and we're going to lead to the Pittsburgh series, how sweep it is. And I put that as a topic because of the fact that, and this actually rolls right into it takes all of us, because it does take 26 men on the roster, because it literally took every 26 guy on that roster to win all these games out of the last 13 and get 2 games over 500. Like I said, you can pick anybody you want, and somebody had a role. Zach Short had a role. Wendell had a role for a guy who came in because of an injury to Beatty, and he had a big hit. Like, it's so many things that we can talk about when it comes to each and every player on this team. And then you could trickle down to the coaches and the manager if you want, because Mendoza deserves a lot of credit, because you can tell that he was feeling out his team the first 10 games of the season. You can see, the mixing and matching, the bullpen mixing and matching, what guys to put in at certain times, pinch runners, pinch hitters, stuff like that, and matchups as well. He's figuring out what he needs to do, and he has a good grasp on this team right now, and it's the great way to look at it right now. So if you're watching on the PSF app right now, we got about 22 in the PSF app right now. You're listening and watching the Mets Roundtable podcast on YouTube right now. So if you take a second, go on YouTube, Talking Mets and Rob, CP Mets and Knicks, with Chris as well. We're both streaming on YouTube right now, so subscribe to the channel as well, and follow Hector and Hayden on X as well. And Hayden does have his channel on YouTube as well. Mets Talk with Hayden. Please subscribe to his channel as well. So let's get to the how sweep it is. Takes all of us. And Hector, I'm going to roll right back to you with this Pittsburgh series. We had to come back in multiple games, and it was getting a little fishy, especially the first game. It wasn't looking good, but I never felt that this team was out of it. I felt like they were going to come back. I don't know why. It's not like they gave me the confidence prior to this series enough to say that they were going to come back based on the offense, the way they were struggling for probably the first 4 or 5 innings. But what are your thoughts on this Pittsburgh series? If you want to pick a game, pick a team, pick a player, whatever you want to do, just to run down what you thought about this series.
No. I mean, listen, the first thing is, man, shout out to everybody in the chat and all the comments here. And shout out to my guys, Carlos and Junior Swingman. I see them in there. But I saw a comment, and it just stood out to me. I think his name was Sanders, who suggested the Mets should go out and trade for Chapman and Bednar eventually during the season. And I'm like, wow, really? 2 guys that we just beat up on recently. But
Bednar has been terrible.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And Chapman, I don't trust really anymore. He's still decent; he'll get the job done. But anyways, whatever. As far as the Pittsburgh series, I did feel confident. And as you were saying that, I thought about something that DJ Stewart said, right? And he talked about when they beat the Braves, came back and beat the Braves, it gave them confidence. You know what I mean? That they can actually beat this team, that they wanted to come back and show them something after what went down last year, where they pretty much handled the Mets. So that stood out to me. And I was like, okay. And I was saying all offseason, a motivated team is a dangerous team. And this team is motivated. It may not have all these great players. It may not have the flashy guys. And we do have good players, which is why I always thought this team could be good. And why I didn't want to hear the stuff about look to 2025 and all of that nonsense. Because I'm like, no, wait a minute. We have guys here that can win. I know we didn't go out there and make the flashy moves, but we have guys that can win. And that doesn't mean that we're going to win the World Series, but we can hang around and we'll see what happens. And I have confidence the front office will make the right moves. But honestly, what stood out to me, and I'm going to go back a little bit to what CP touched on, I believe, because he kind of touched on this. But what stood out to me was Mendoza and the way the team is taking his personality. And what I want to piggyback on CP is, last year in the off season and all that stuff, we tried to figure out what was amiss with the team. It just didn't seem like something was right? And it was talk about toxicity and who was toxic and in the clubhouse and this player, that player, whatever it is. I'm not even going to put any names to that. And what I see now is the front office and the manager's office was toxic. Those guys weren't getting along for whatever reason, right? It seemed like Buck was a little bit held back some, and he became complacent, and the team took out that personality. So what I like to see now is that never give up personality, that fighter personality that Carlos Mendoza seems to have. It seems to be the personality that the team has taken as well. And I also think some of the young guys help with that too, Beatty and Alvarez. But that's really what stood out to me is, besides the play on the field and the bullpen being phenomenal and Drew Smith being able to step up when he was called to step up in the 9th inning and do a save in that second game. All of that stuff is great, and the guys coming in. And, the players executing also helps with Mendoza too. Because right now everybody's talking like, oh, Carlos Mendoza is a great manager. The first 5 games when a couple of moves, when Tompkins came in, didn't get the job done. The
baby
bull,
bun.
right? You know, the bullpen wasn't. You know, we're going to the bullpen too early, and this. Why are we burning these guys out? This guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing, right? But that's why I say in 2022, everybody loved Buck, right? Everybody loved Buck. Every button Buck pushed, it worked because the players executed, right?
Correct.
This last 10 games or whatever the hell it is, 8 games, it looks like Carlos Mendoza's a genius. Every button he's pushed has worked because the players have executed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to always be the case. That doesn't make him a bad manager. Doesn't make him a bad manager. You know what I'm saying? But that's what stood out to me. I was going to say something else, but I don't want to take up too much time. And we'll expand on other stuff. But that's what stood out to me more. It's just the way he's had, like CP said, a grasp of the team itself. You know, as the time has gone on, it seems like he has a better handle for them. And a handle for the game. And being able to make that move and have it work because he's put the guys in a good position to succeed too. So you got to give him credit for that as well. And then you give the players credit for executing too.
Yeah, and Carlos just said in the chat, great comment by Hector. Absolutely. It's well said because, anybody can be a good manager if your players
check us in the mail
actually do the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we hear you.
Sorry, I heard like a big noise. I thought my mic just popped. So,
no, I was telling Carlos to check us in the mail for that comment. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so absolutely. And again, the players make a manager. We got to stop believing that the manager. Now, can a manager win you ball games? Absolutely. I mean, you see what Bochy did with the Rangers, who never won a championship in their history, and look what he did, right? I mean, they were a good team, but they lost the division. They choked down the stretch and were a wild card team. Yet they played great during the postseason. So, you can put that to Bochy, but the players also have to perform. When Bochy was with the Giants, the players performed. Same thing with Buck. Was it Buck or was the players that just didn't do well? Right? 2022, it was just basically the same players as 2023, but guess what? They didn't perform. So everybody blamed Buck and every other coach and blamed Cohen and blamed Billy Epler and blamed everybody. It comes down to the players doing their job, and that's a great point by Hector. So, Chris, the sweep of the Pirates, is there a game that you pointed out, would point out in this series that you says, okay, this team has something that I wanted to see, and they're finally showing what all the fans wanted to see: the fight, the grit, the comeback, the energy that we've been missing?
It's the last game for me because it took 2 swings of the bat to blow up a lead, right? You talk about Tyrone Taylor getting in 2 runs with a single, and then you talk about Harrison Bader just absolutely sending one to the moon. And I think that and that was all with 2 outs, by the way. So this is like 2-out production that we're getting, which is something the Mets struggled with last season. So like knowing that the Mets, right, it was a failed opportunity by Francisco Alvarez, the Jeff McNeil bunt set up Francisco Alvarez. He struck out, I believe it was. And then I was like, all right, this is a wasted opportunity to get an insurance run. But you got Tyrone Taylor up there who already had 2 hits on the day, coming up, getting that third base knock, and then setting up Harrison Bader for the 2-run home run. So it's like how quickly this offense can score runs in bunches, right? So I like to see that. And I think that was my biggest sort of like, wow, like this is kind of legit. And I just want to touch on that as well. Like this has been the most, aside from Carlos Mendoza, right? This series, like in this series, I really took a step back and I have to look at this outfield rotation. And I think it's the perfect storm that the Mets have in this outfield. And it worried me going into the season because I was like, okay, I know Tyrone Taylor's a baller, right? I don't know what sort of capacity he's going to have. Like, I don't know what role he's going to play on the New York Mets. And Harrison Bader, I was like, $10 million, stud center fielder, but he gets injured a lot. So I was like, how is this rotation really going to work? And Starling Marte, a literal wild card coming off of a double groin surgery, don't know how he's going to perform. So this has been played absolutely perfect by Carlos Mendoza here to start 2024. You talk about your outfield consisting of Brandon Nimmo, Harrison Bader, and Starling Marte. Oh, and by the way, a lot of teams would kill for Tyrone Taylor in their starting outfield to begin with, but the New York Mets have the luxury to call Tyrone Taylor a fourth outfielder. Now, let's just put that into perspective, folks, because he's been absolutely killing it to start the season. Some may argue that he should even be playing over Harrison Bader. Listen, I made that argument. Harrison Bader's caught some strays for me. I apologize because he's been playing well. Listen, this is a great problem to have. And like I said, you have these guys who, albeit are injury prone. The New York Mets starting outfield is injury prone. And I'm going to just knock on wood that just stays away. I don't want to see any injuries at all with this starting, because like the vibes are immaculate right now. We cannot afford any injuries, especially this early on to the season. We do have the backups available to sort of, I guess, make do if someone goes down. But I like this little rotation that Carlos Mendoza is deploying right now. You saw Tyrone Taylor right starting. I believe it was in right field one of the games. He was starting in the outfield one of the games. Starling Marte got the DH duties. Vice versa. Tyrone Taylor DH'd one game. Starling Marte was in right field. Like, this is the perfect sort of mix that Carlos Mendoza is in. And like, you can't have that perfect mix if you're Carlos Mendoza. You can't make those decisions if you don't have the personnel to do it. And the New York Mets have the personnel to do it. And two of those guys, of the four guys that I'm talking about right now, were brought in this offseason by David Stearns. Give David Stearns his respect. I love the four-headed monster the Mets are deploying right now in a little rotation, right? Whether they're coming off the bench or whether they're starting, it's beautiful. And this is an outfield that really has lacked depth in recent years, right? Even going back to the last couple of years, we're like, okay, who's playing left field? Mark Canha? Jeff McNeil's playing out there? We literally have all the three outfield positions covered and then some. I love it, and I think a lot of people have to give more respect, myself included, because I've talked down on Harrison Bader. I'm guilty as charged, and I'm going to stop doing that because he's proven me wrong here early on. Now, things are always subject to change. Obviously, an injury throws a wrench in things, but for right now, in the first, especially in the last 13 games, but the whole season right now, and what you're asking me, especially this series, I love the way the outfielders performed, and I love the decisions that Carlos Mendoza was making to utilize those outfielders. So that's my simple answer. Listen, Tyrone Taylor, your fourth outfielder, 2 RBIs, 3 base knocks in the series finale. You got to love it. You have to love that.
Yeah, I love that trade when it happened. It wasn't even about Hauser. Hauser was the veteran. He does what he does as a back end rotation guy. You know, he'll give you quality starts. He'll keep your team in the ball game. I love, the Hauser is fine with me, but I thought Tyrone Taylor was the trade, to be honest with you. Even though a lot of people talked about Hauser, but
you did say that, Rob, too. So credit to
yeah.
you. You did say that. A lot of people were talking about Adrian Hauser. Nobody was talking about Tyrone Taylor, at least that we were seeing on the channel. You were the one that was like, listen, a lot of people are not giving Tyrone Taylor enough credit here. He's got sneaky pop, and he can play all 3 outfield positions. Credit to you because you did say that. I remember.
And you know what? He's become a better hitter because he wasn't a hitter like he is now, right now with the Mets when he was with the Brewers, because he was just a power guy where he would be swinging at everything and swinging for the fences, and he would connect every now and then. But he's becoming a ball player. Hector talked about this. These guys are playing baseball. They're not just trying to go up there, pad their stats, swinging for the fences. Tyrone Taylor, if you notice, his swing ain't as long. He's situational hitting now. Now I don't know if that's the Eric Chavez the Chavez philosophy that might be working with him, and the team is just working as a whole with the Chavez philosophy, or it's just Tyrone Taylor realizing that, yeah, you can hit home runs all you want, but if you're not going to give quality at bats and do some situational hitting, and you don't need to hit a 3-run home, you can hit one down the line or get a game winner in a doubleheader, that gets you playing time. If he wasn't doing that, he would be probably a guy that not even thought of on the bench. But because he's playing well and overall playing well, that's why you see him in ball games more often than not. And the rotation, like Chris said, is awesome in the outfield. So Hayden, what game did you have during the Pittsburgh series that you says, this Mets team is probably not as bad as we actually think they are?
Honestly, it's really tough. But if I had to assume or throw out, I would probably say I believe it was the second game when they came back when they were down one and they scored three in the seventh inning. Um, I mean, we saw I think that was game two. Yeah, we saw really clutch hitting, obviously, to start off. Just the energy was very electric. He started off, obviously, with the Joey Wendell double to the other way, tied the game, the Alonso scoring on a balk. And you just saw the energy after that. You saw Mendoza was outside of the dugout trying to, pressure the umpires, see what was going on. He was like a typical manager. He was getting involved. He was ambitious, and just the energy from that was electric. And then McNeil also go, that old classic McNeil that we love to see. What he's known for best is going to the opposite way. So, I mean, really just an electric inning overall. I mean, the win probability went from here to here in, the span of 5 minutes. And then obviously really clutch pitching, obviously, right after from Jorge Lopez and Drew Smith to close it out. And it was good to see Drew Smith in there, obviously, in the save situation. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mendoza's philosophy is. Is he always going to go to Diaz? If Diaz has pitched 2 days in a row, is he going to go to someone else? And who is going to be that other pitcher? Is it going to be, closer by committee? We'll see. And I mean, the fact is that this bullpen has been great so far. I mean, you had those 2 innings from Reed Garrett, 2 innings, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. You probably wouldn't win that game if Reed Garrett didn't go those 2 innings.
Yeah.
And we saw it last year. And we're seeing it this year too, which isn't a concern yet. And I say yet because it's still early, but your starters are not going long into games. And that's an issue, but an issue that you could address in a month from now. With that said, last year you would see your starters were only going 4 or 5 innings. And then your mid-bullpen guys would come in the 5th, the 6th, and just blow up the game. That's not the case. You're seeing guys go 2 innings and strike out 6 guys. That's unheard of last year. So, I mean, just to emphasize how important this bullpen is, and we talk about it now in baseball today, is guys are not going very long into games. They're going 5 innings. They're going 6 innings. It's the pitch clock. I think it's pretty obvious. Guys just don't have the durability to go long into games. So then that puts more of an emphasis and an importance on the bullpen and the relievers. And, David Stearns, that clutch, small, moneyball mentality guy, he's doing it. I mean, who would have thought guys like Reed Garrett, would come in. I mean, Drew Smith, I don't know what happened to that dude. He got struck by lightning or something, but he actually doesn't suck. So we'll see. My only complaint this series is probably Lindor. And I know he didn't get a couple hits, but still, I'd like to see a little bit more from him, just from the right side. But we'll get into that more. But overall, I love what I saw from Pittsburgh. Carlos Mendoza, it's early. It is to say if he's a good manager or not. But you could tell that the clubhouse is definitely on a good. The clubhouse looks good from what I've seen, from what I've heard, from just the press conferences. It doesn't sound like there's any animosity or a clubhouse issue. We know that last year there was. It doesn't seem like that's the case this year. I feel even when they were on 5. So I guess that's a good thing. But otherwise, I was really impressed, and I was super hyped. Great energy from this series, and contributions from everyone. Harrison Bader, Tyrone Taylor. I mean, tip of the cap to Tyrone Taylor. He's really been balling. He's hitting the ball well, and the fact that we're saying he's a 4th outfielder when, like you said, Rob, any other team would love to have him starting. So it goes to show you depth is important, and the Mets have a good one.
Yeah, and Hayden, to your point, Chris, before I get going,
I just want to point out 2 great comments here in the chat. I can't help but point them out. Ricardo up in the chat saying that Tyrone Taylor, we're sitting here giving him praise, right? David Stearns brought him in this offseason. He's got 2 more years left of arbitration for the New York Mets. 2 more years of control that the New York Mets don't have to worry about paying Tyrone Taylor. That's just so underrated about a guy like David Stearns leading your organization now. So, Ricardo, absolutely. That's been said before on the channel, and you reminding us absolutely was just like everyone needs to know that. 2, Easy is saying this in the chat too, and I said this earlier in the stream that Subway to Shade did earlier today, I said Shintaro Fujinami. I completely forgot that this dude is waiting in the wings in Syracuse with how great this bullpen's been doing. I completely forgot about Shintaro Fujinami and also Nate Lavender, who had a killer spring training and got sent down, obviously. I completely forgot about the depth that this bullpen has in the minor league still. Shintaro Fujinami was a name that a lot of people were excited over. Obviously, not with the 2023 numbers that he posted, but the arsenal that he possesses, the velocity that he possesses. And we're sitting here talking about a great bullpen, and I'm like, wait, I know I'm missing somebody. He's not on the team right now, and I know he's in Syracuse. Who am I missing? And it's Shintaro Fujinami. So great point, Emizi. I just wanted to bring that up because I think that people forget. I think people forget how much depth this organization has, even in Syracuse. And a lot of people need to be reminded. So that's all I wanted to say.
Get heck.
Yeah, good stuff. Listen, we got to see because those guys are down there, but are they performing good enough to come up too, right? Because last I did check up on Fujinami not too long ago, and he wasn't looking too good. Too many walks still and stuff like that.
Yeah, but was Reed Garrett doing anything good in the minors? I don't think he was. He was not good. But you know what? The Mets needed an arm, and he goes hard. Like that. That's what Stearns does. And you know, heck, I agree with you. But I don't think Stearns looks at it that way. I think he looks at it as an opportunity that a pitcher might have who's in Syracuse, and he was needed because Tonkin sucked, and they had to replace him. And you know, it just seems like they're replacing guys regardless if they're pitching well or not. I talked about this with Chris yesterday on the post game. I believe Stearns has a list of guys from 1 to 10 in the position player box, the pitch, the rotation, and bullpen. I think he has a list, and there's guys at the top of the list where if they need a guy because of injury or not performing well, they'll bring whoever that top guy is, regardless if it's a lefty, righty, if he has a 6 ERA or a 1 ERA. I don't think he cares. I think he knows that these guys, if you give them an opportunity, sometimes they might perform. Like Reed Garrett. Like, seriously, Reed Garrett, he's the best bullpen arm in baseball right now. What is he have? 17 strikeouts in not even 8 innings? Like, or 4 or 5 innings? Like, it's crazy. And that's a guy that nobody would have thought of to bring up. Like, I mean, he would have been the last guy. You would have brought up Fujinami before you brought up Reed Garrett. So, to Hayden's point, and what the heck you said, and then Easy brought it up as well, it's important to realize that I think David Stearns is not looking at performance in Syracuse, at least with the pitching. I don't know about offensively yet because we haven't really seen it. Who's he bringing up when needed? But pitching-wise, I don't think he cares. I think he has his list, regardless of, as long as they're not hurt, he's bringing them up. If they're at the top of the list, he's going with them, and then they go from there.
No, listen, and that's not even what I was going to say, and I set you off, but that's good. And to your point, so guys keep asking. I see someone asking again, what's the deal with Tonkin? And do you guys trust the Tonkin move? That's all it is. It's just having arms. It's just another arm. They bring him in the first time. He's out there. He's available again. They figure let's take another shot with him again and just stash him. It's just more depth. That's all it is with the Tonkin. I wouldn't bother too much trying to think too much about Tonkin. But what I really wanted to touch on was what Hayden said. And shout out to Carlos. I think it's Ortiz, not Ramos. That guy Ramos, he's horrible. That's my guy. But shout out to Carlos Ortiz who said what I was thinking when Hayden was talking about the clubhouse issues and whether it was toxic or not. And before I say that, shout out to that MEZ and BX guy just because he shares my brother's nickname, who's no longer with us. So I saw that, and then CP mentioned his comment and brought him up again. But shout out to you, MEZ, whoever you are, just for the name. But listen, I don't think, to what Carlos Ortiz said, I don't think there was an issue in the clubhouse. I really don't think there was an issue in the clubhouse. I think the problem with the clubhouse last year was, and this is what I'm interested, because right now we're giving Mendoza credit for the vibes, right? We're giving Mendoza credit, and we're giving the young guys credit, and Alvarez and Beatty, because we see their exuberance, we see them always pumping up and all that stuff, right? But I'd be interested to see, because what I think was lacking in the clubhouse last year was that guy, or maybe that other one or two guys, whoever it is, that would bring everybody together, right? Because in any team, there's going to be different cliques. There's going to be different, whatever. And I don't want to go too much into it, but there's going to be the married guys clique. There's going to be the singles clique. There's going to be the guys that like to go out and have a drink after the game, whatever it is. And those guys are going to naturally hang out with each other. But who is there to every now and then make sure that we all get together and make sure we have our, little team outings where 20 out of 6 come by or whatever the case may be. Or even in the clubhouse itself, make sure that we have 10, 15 minutes where we're all vibing and jiving and just getting to know each other, getting to know what makes us click, getting to know what I like in the game or whatever, so that we're on the field. We don't even have to talk about this. Now we know, I'm saying CP likes this. Rob, Rob is going to be here. I know Rob likes to be here on this, whatever the case may be. And I'll be interested to see. Maybe it's one of the new guys. Maybe it's Francisco Alvarez who's stepping up now. And is that, I don't know who it is. We heard that Kodai Senga took everybody to dinner. Maybe it's Senga now in his second year. That's that Joe. Or maybe it's as simple as Edwin Diaz came back and, there was talk in the offseason, captains. Oh, no, Edwin Diaz can't be a captain because he's a bullpen guy and he don't talk to everybody. Nonsense. Maybe Edwin Diaz has that personality that brings everybody together, no matter what position he plays. And that, I think that's really what was missing. I don't think there's any issues. I don't think guys are in there arguing with each other. I don't think, there's fights or anything like that. I just think maybe, we know Lindor and McNeil got past their thing, but maybe they don't talk to each other every day. Who's making those guys talk? You know what I'm saying? Just by chance, just by opening up a conversation that brings them two together and having them have a laugh, so they could keep moving away from that incident that happened. You know what I mean? That's my whole view on the whole, whether there's an issue in the clubhouse and toxicity. I don't think there's anybody fighting.
Hector.
I just think now they may have somebody that's bringing them together.
Hector, that's a great point too, because everything that I've heard was that Edwin Diaz is that guy for the New York Mets. Like, his presence made all the difference in the world, not having him last season. And now he's the guy, even though he's in the bullpen, he's the guy to sort of gel this team. And I did hear that too. So it could very well be Edwin Diaz. But also, Rob, I know that you're a Rangers fan. So am I. The playoffs are coming up. I want to see the New York Mets out there supporting the New York Rangers in the playoffs at Madison Square Garden as well. I know they did that last season as well. It's always a great time. So that season is coming up here in April.
And the Knicks too. How about come out there and support the Knicks too? Come on,
yes, let's do it. Absolutely.
Hey, we got the Islander fan in here, Hayden. So gotta be careful.
Oh, sorry, Hayden.
Get out of here.
I'm actually going to one of the Hurricanes Islanders game here in Raleigh. So I'm gonna make sure I head down there. Don't worry, I'm not rooting for. Actually, I'm rooting for the Canes only because I want the Rangers to face the Canes so I can go to games in Raleigh. That's the only reason why. It's the only reason why. But
Canes are the harder matchup, though. We're rooting for the Islanders. Absolutely. We want to see them.
Absolutely, but the Islanders want payback. That's for sure. In hockey, you never know, man. You never know. But good luck to all the teams. That's the important thing, right? The Rangers and Islanders. Right now, we're not playing each other, so we can both win and be happy in New York with the Knicks facing the Sixers and all that fun stuff. And all right, so our Mets got the Dodgers going to the West Coast for 3. They faced the guy who screwed us and went to the Dodgers in Yoshinobu Yamamoto facing Sean Manaea. TBD for game 2 and 3 for the Dodgers. They're so afraid they can't even name pitchers for us. Let me just stop because I know Dodger fans are going to get at me. But I'm going to do a 1-minute rant on the Dodgers and their fan base. All right. I said this yesterday with Chris on the post game. I cannot stand the Dodgers. I can't stand the fan base. They always think they're better than what they are. They are the biggest choke jobs in baseball. I don't care that they make the playoffs every year. The Yankees do too. You want to call them choke jobs? Fine. But the Dodgers, they wrote the book on choke jobs, right? They make the playoffs. They have the most wins every year, it seems. They're always favorites to win the World or get to the World Series with the Yankees. It's supposed to be for 5 years now. The Dodgers and Yankees are supposed to be in the playoff in the World Series every year. Never happens. They both don't make the World Series, except for that bullshit pandemic World Series for the Dodgers. They choke every year. Dave Roberts is a terrible manager. He will show you, right? Usually a team like that usually has enough talent to get through a season. But when the going gets tough in the playoffs, Dave Roberts will make a bonehead mistake and decision to hurt the team. And he did it last year. against the Diamondbacks. He did it the year before that, and the pandemic year. I mean, he probably thought he was still in the season, and he just sat back and let the talent take them for the 60 games. The Dodgers aren't as good as everybody says they are. All right, Chris, we talked about this yesterday. Look at their lineup. 1 through 4, can't complain about. I can't say they're not that good. That's wrong, right? You got Betts, you got Ohtani, you got Freeman. That's dangerous. Will Smith, those guys. That's dangerous. We all know that, right? And I compared it yesterday to the Mets lineup. What about 6 through 9? What about 5 through 9? Look at the Mets 5 through 9, and can anybody name anybody 6 through 9 in the Dodgers lineup? I guarantee you can't. You know why? Because they're not that good. They're a very top-heavy lineup. Top-heavy lineup that if you look at their first 18, 19 games this year, they either blow teams out or they lose close games. Nothing in between. So if you keep them in the ballpark and you keep it to a close game, you're going to beat them. It's just that simple. That's the Dodgers because their pitching is not that good. They're a very top-heavy lineup, and they hit a ton of home runs, and that's how they win ball games. They blow out their opponent or they lose close games. What have the Mets done successfully this season, even in the games they lost? They were in close games. And over the last 13, they won a lot of those close games, which the Dodgers have not. So I understand that they're a juggernaut. They spent $1 billion this year, and they're probably going to win the West. But they win the West every year, and they still find a way to trip over themselves in the playoffs by teams that they're much better than. And this is only 2 years going on this wild card thing where I understand it's harder to, you get a hot team, you fall in trouble. But this was prior to these new wild card rules and extra team, right? It was way back when the Dodgers played the Mets in 06 and in 15, and you can go all the way back for years and years and years with the Dodgers. In the 2018s, 2019s, 17s, they were always like this. They kept on losing to teams that they were way better than, and they still talked about like they're the dynasty Yankees of the late 90s. It's hilarious to me that this team continues to get all this credit. They get more credit than the Yankees. And at least the Yankees actually won a real championship in 2009, and the Dodgers won a fake world championship in the pandemic year. So I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Talk your talk, Rob. Talk your talk.
Because I'm sick and tired that, it's always the LOL Mets regardless, right? The Mets are getting no respect nationally. I talked about this in the post game yesterday with Chris. No respect. And I don't expect nationally to just, jump on board the bandwagon right away. But what is it going to take? Taking 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers? Maybe going 5-1 on this road trip? 4-2? Even 500? Or are they going to say, oh, the Mets are back to normal? Because this team is already showing that they're better than a lot of people think they are. And I think we got to take a step back into reality that the Dodgers aren't as good as everybody thinks they are because they're a very heavy lineup. They hit home runs only to score their runs. They blow out guys, they blow out teams, or they lose close games. Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry.
I'm going to back you up here, and I'm going to just continue this in saying that Mookie Betts as shortstop is a joke. It's a joke. And the national media has tried to shove that down our throats to begin the season saying, oh, the Dodgers are Mookie Betts is a great athlete, which he is. I'm never going to dispute that, right? He's a great athlete. But listen, the guy is not a shortstop. And for the national media to say, oh, the Dodgers are going to be fine, Mookie Betts as shortstop's not going to be a problem, and they actually ranked him a top 5 shortstop to begin the season, I don't curse on here ever, but it's a fucking joke, bro. That is a joke. And honestly, like, I'm backing you up here because the Dodgers can do no wrong ever. You're talking about Mookie Betts is a top 5 shortstop in the league? Dude, like, he doesn't look natural out there in terms of just fielding as a natural shortstop. That man's an outfielder through and through. So I really think the national media is trying to play everyone as a fool like we haven't watched baseball before. Mookie Betts is an MVP candidate every single year, right? Especially when he's in outfield. When he's playing shortstop, it's a different ball game. It's a different just sort of vibe and just feel for the game while you're in the infield, playing one of the most demanding positions. And we go back to Francisco Lindor and why I respect Lindor so much. And I know we still have yet to talk about him so much, but why I respect Lindor so much is because he plays outside of catcher. He plays the most demanding position in the game of baseball. And trust me, I've played it for so many years during my tenure, and I can only imagine it playing it at the major league level, right? Which I could not even sniff. It's a demanding position, and to be one of the top players in your position defensively and offensively, Lindor's going to turn it around. That's where I'm going to sort of transition this into Lindor because he's going to turn it around offensively, but defensively, like it's a joke. You can't rank Mookie Betts a top 5 shortstop in the league when we haven't seen him play shortstop yet. And this is before the season started. So no, I agree with you. It's ridiculous. And the national media, obviously, Ohtani joined that team. Obviously, they have everything going for them because 1 through 5, like you said, Rob, it's top heavy. It's great. Nobody beats it in all of baseball, right? You talk about Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Mookie Betts, like everybody in that lineup, 1 through 5, is very scary. But they start to thin out, and the pitching also isn't good. Who's going for them in game 3? James Paxton? James Paxton is still in this league? You're telling me James Paxton's in this league? I might jinx the Mets, and James Paxton might go for 6 scoreless innings, maybe. And I'm just gonna, you can clip this right now if he does, and you can just roast me. I don't care. I'm willing to bite that bullet. But James Paxton is still in this league, and he's playing in a series against the Mets in 2024. Come on, man, miss me with that. Listen, Rob, you're spitting. I'm gonna say that right now. You're spitting.
Look, honestly, listen. It's not even about the respect factor towards the Mets. I don't care about that because I don't need the national audience to tell me about my team. The national audience doesn't need to tell Hector or you, Chris, or Hayden, or anybody else on the PSF app right now about our team. But to talk about our team like we're non-existent and we're not playing well and not giving us enough credit is silly because, teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, other teams like that, are playing well, but they're not juggernauts. They're beatable. And, to talk about the Lindor, and we'll transition to that since, it's hard to really figure out what the probable starters are going to be because it was James Paxton for game 3, but they took it off the MLB app for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, because that's why I showed Paxton was for game 3, but then the MLB app said TBD. So that's why I left it for game 2 and 3.
Because the Dodgers know that man is washed and it should be TBD instead of James Paxton. That's why.
Yeah, I do have to say, right? I don't want to hear, and this is for you Dodger fans and the goddamn national media. Listen to me, all right? If the Mets win the series, take 2 out of 3, or, my God, sweep the Dodgers, I don't want to hear one complaint or one excuse about your injuries for the rotation. Okay, I don't want to hear it. You're supposed to be the billion-dollar offseason acquisitions, the big bad Dodgers, beat the LOL Mets that everybody likes to call them. Do it. Because you're supposed to be way better than us. And the injuries should not matter. Why? Because you're a top-heavy team that your depth is kind of taking a hit because you have no depth. No, that's your fault. That's your GM's fault for blowing Ohtani and trying to get him on a fake plane to Toronto to land him. Like, we got to stop. We got to stop with that. But let's get to the Lindor conversation because we did have a but a back and forth conversation on our group chat many hours ago about Francisco Lindor and the ovations he's getting, the boos that he should be getting, according to some people here who will voice their opinions. I promise you that. Hector, we got into it a little bit in the group chat, a friendly back and forth. But what are your thoughts about the ovation, so everybody can know what your thoughts about that, about the ovations that he continues to get, but still struggling, and according to you, should be booed?
No. Whoa, see?
Yeah, I got.
I knew you misunderstood. I never said he should be booed. I shouldn't say I don't think anybody should be booed, right? Because you go to games, I go to games. We see it a lot of times. A guy comes up in a big spot, doesn't come through. You hear some boos, you hear some grumbling. Are they really booing the player? Not necessarily, They're booing the play or the result of the play that they didn't like, that we don't like. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say they, because sometimes I partake in it. I don't like to boo all the time. And listen to me. Before the whole standing ovation thing, I go there. Whoever's coming to hit, let's go Nemo. Let's go Marte. Let's go Lindor. Boom, boom, boom. I understand. A guy comes up, you give him a hand. Some guys get a bigger hand than others, right? The P comes up, ooh, you give him a hand. Some people stand up. It's not a full standing ovation, whatever. Lindor comes up because the same love. Nemo comes up because the same love. A Zach Short may not get that love, whatever. But it's different to say, and listen, at first, I endorsed the standing ovation, right? You could go look at my Twitter page. I did a whole video about it, but mostly because I was upset what I saw those fans say, right? And to me, I took it as, you know what? And I said this before on one of our roundtables. Let's give those fans a FU collectively as a fan base and let them know that you're not going to do that to one of our players. You know what I'm saying? That I'm in full support of. I'm in full support of that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we want to give him a standing ovation. I'm okay with that. You want to do it for the whole homestand? I'm okay with that. He hasn't done anything, guys. Don't give me the 4 hits that he's hit right-handed. We know he can hit right-handed. The question we have is, and we could talk about a slow start, but every time he hits right-handed, he gets a hit, right? He just hasn't been able to do it left-handed. So my thing is, are we just going to continue to give him standing ovations while he does nothing? Or can you go out there in the West Coast now against these Dodgers and against these Giants and earn yourself some standing ovations when you come back? And again, I'm not saying you boo him. How long are we going to go through this? Are we going to give, because why not give everybody a standing ovation? Let's give all of them a standing ovation when they go through a little slump. Francisco Alvarez is struggling right now at the plate. He ain't doing too hot. Are we going to give him a standing ovation? I don't see it, but you're going to tell me, but nobody's booing him. How about boo everybody else the same way? Well, they're not Francisco Lindor, right? They're not Francisco Lindor. We're not paying Francisco Lindor to be Ray Ordonez. I don't even care about the money. I don't care about the money, but we expect more from him. You were born here to be one of the cogs offensively. You hit third in my order. They refuse to drop you. You hit third. Act like it. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
People take that as Francisco Lindor. No, I just want him to be Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor goes there every post game and tells you, I missed this pitch. I missed that pitch. I should have done this better. I should have done. Well, do it already, damn it. Stop telling me and do it. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Because I know you can do it. You know you can do it. Yeah. Every single person in this damn chat knows he can do it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't say it because you hate him. No. I want Francisco Lindor to succeed because that means my Mets succeed. What are we talking about here? I just don't think we should be giving him standing ovations for the rest of the season, and he's doing nothing. And obviously, eventually, he's gonna heat up, and people are gonna say, "Oh, look at that dope Hector. He was talking nonsense." But look at Francisco Lindor now. Well, the season is fucking 6 months. Excuse my French. So I don't need you to get months. And I need you to play all the counts too.
Yeah. Get Hayden.
No, I was going to say I agree with that 100%. I mean, Hector's right. We've seen Francisco Lindor. We've seen the hitter he is. So, I mean, talk is talk, but talk is cheap. I mean, you could say whatever you want. I mean, Hector's right. What, we're going to give him an applause for the next 6 months? I mean, and you get it. Lindor's had horrible starts to start off the season, but this is on a whole other level. I mean, this is abysmal to watch. This is atrocious. It's horrible to watch. And, I have to go in a minute or two. So just to kind of, semifinals with Lindor, step it up. I mean, you claim to be a leader. You claim to be this. Step it up. Stop hitting left-handed. It drives me nuts. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the analytics. I don't know if it's the coaching staff. I don't know if it's that he's stubborn. But for a dude who's really slumping, you would want to hit from your better side, which is the right side. And just the swing looks a little bit different. His stance looks different. So we'll see. I mean, I really hope he could bounce out of it. I mean, he had an ample opportunity against Kansas City, bases loaded. Everyone's standing up, cheering for him, and then he pops out first pitch. So we'll see. I mean, it's frustrating, but anyways, with that said, I better get going before I get kicked out in the library and they're about to beat the crap out of me for being here too long.
Yeah, Hayden. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
I love GM, guys.
I love GM, Hayden.
Take care.
Patty nailed it right here. Patty, I love you. Smiles are in hits. Smiles are in hits. And he ain't even smiling that much no more, to be honest with you. It's more like a frown nowadays. But, whatever.
Exactly. And you know what? It's funny because I said this in the group chat. If Pete Alonso was making $30 million,
I'm sorry, Rob. I'm sorry. Sanders, he had 30 home runs, 30 doubles, 30 steals last year. What the hell did that do for us? Where were the Mets? Don't give me this. At the end of the year, he's going to have 30 homers and under RBIs. I don't care about that. I'm not even asking him to hit home runs and have 1,000 RBIs or whatever. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking you for you to be involved more often than not. That's what I'm asking. Give me a base at the opposite field. Give me a sacrifice fly. Give me whatever it is. I can't have this. I can't have you hitting 150. I'm sorry. So, yeah, he may have 30 home runs at the end of the year. Are we going to be in playoff contention?
Well, you could say that about everybody who's supposed to put up numbers here. Yeah, Chris.
No, I just don't think that he wasn't the sole reason why the 2023 Mets were the 2023 Mets. Everybody knows that. Like Hector knows that. You know that, Rob. I know that, Rob. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. So my thing about Francisco Lindor is people are talking about why is he still hitting lefty versus righty, right? I mentioned the splits the other day. In 2023, lefty versus righty, 240 with 15 home runs as a lefty versus 281 with 16 home runs as a righty in the year 2023. Now, obviously, that's skewed in the direction as a right-handed batter. There is a certain point where you are Francisco Lindor and you just don't give up being a switch hitter. Now, everybody who knows me knows that I am an advocate of just bat from the side that you're supposed to be batting from. And if the other side is hindering your performance, let go of it. And if it was up to me, I would basically tell Lindor, hey, give up the lefty side. Your swing is more leveled from the righty side. Everything's better from the righty side. And I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. So everybody who's asking that and getting their hopes up for that, it's not gonna happen. So I've kind of given up on that dream. And that was going back into last season that I was sort of just spewing that rhetoric. Listen, we need righty Lindor here. We don't need lefty Lindor. We need righty Lindor. And it's for one reason or another. And this is where a lot of people can knock him because it's you see the results and you see your swing. These players watch film galore, right? And you can tell if you're Lindor watching film, you know the difference between your swing from the left side versus right side. Now, the left side is supposed to be your pop side. It's supposed to be the home run side. It's supposed to be where you get, you're the moneymaker side. It's your high home runs, your high OPS, that's where you make your money. But Lindor doesn't do that, and he's equally as effective in all those metrics from the right side than he is the left side. And I just told you he hit 16 home runs last year, righty versus 15 lefties, so it's equally distributed. Now, what I will say though, a lot of people saying that, and Hayden obviously mentioned it before he left. He was like, "Are we supposed to give him the standing ovation 6 months down the road?" Listen, Francisco Lindor is not going to take 6 months to heat up. He doesn't do that. He's not doing that. He heated up. Honestly, the point in 2023 that he heated up was at the All-Star break. Now, it's completely unacceptable for an All-Star type player, honestly, borderline when he's hot, an MVP type player, to sort of heat up at the deadline. You can't do that at all. But I think he's going to come around earlier this year. I really do. And that might be the naive side of me. And listen, it's me versus you three at this point because I'm the Lindor truther right now, and I seem like a homer right now for Lindor. But I really do think that he is going to come around sooner than people think. And I know it's kind of boring to bring up his defensive contributions, but I don't think I'd take any other shortstop in this league defensively over Francisco Lindor, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that nobody wants to give him credit for because everyone wants to talk about defense. And they want to talk about Harrison Bader's defense. They want to talk about everybody else's defense, but we're not going to all of a sudden talk about Francisco Lindor's defense when he's been holding down shortstop for his entire career. Listen, I know that he's supposed to provide. Listen, and by the way, Hector, I'm going to say this. It is about the money with Mets fans. It is about the money. And this
I
is why
understand
he's
that.
catching so much.
I want
It
to
is
know.
about the money. And if he wasn't being paid $341 million, people wouldn't be talking. Listen, and we're not like Hector, you, Rob, Hayden, you guys aren't even like getting into Lindor. Like there's people threatening this man's family, man. Like this, like
That's what I
it's
can't.
bad.
That's what I don't support. CP.
It's
That's
fact.
what
And I know that. And I'm not trying to allude to that. I understand that. But we have to like actually make light of that situation and like say that that is happening within the Mets community. And that's just simply unacceptable. So it is about the money at the end of the day, because a player getting paid however many million dollars versus 341, they're not going to catch that type of flag. Listen, flat out, I'll end this spiel by saying Lindor needs to be better. And Rob, you were there when I said what I looked forward into the 2024 season was Lindor starting hot. I wanted to see him come out of the gate swinging versus the rest of the seasons where he didn't. But I will say this man will catch up eventually. I understand it's to a lot of Mets fans' dismay because a lot of people want a complete season. I want a complete season, but there's certain boundaries you simply shouldn't cross. And saying that he should be batting lower than third is not a boundary. Like that's completely acceptable. We can have discourse and say,
Right.
okay, maybe we should drop him down to the lineup.
Right.
And that
Or
doesn't
say
mean
he should stop hitting left-handed, right?
yeah, same thing versus just bat righty versus and forget about lefty. Because I've been saying that going into last season, right? When I did content on the Interstate Mets Report with Nelson, I made that a point saying, listen, Lindor's a great hitter. We all know he's an MVP type player, both defensively and offensively. But it's from the right side of the plate. And this is a trend. But all the extra stuff that comes with Lindor is just simply unacceptable. And I have to be here and say that because like that stuff is happening in the background, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. And that's all I'll say about that.
No, and that's why I said at first I endorsed the standing ovation as a FU to those people that make those type of comments that go out of bounds. It's okay to criticize on the field. That's why when some people told me, oh, why don't people say the same thing to Pete Alonso about Pete Alonso's family? No, they shouldn't.
Never.
I'm not going to endorse that either. Don't say that about Lindor. Don't say that about nobody. Now, on the field play, you guys want to criticize somebody else? Yeah, I'm tired of Pete Alonso swinging at sliders in the left-handed batter's box that are almost in the dugout. I'm tired of seeing that. I said the other day, Francisco Alvarez, who's my favorite player next to Jeff McNeil, is pissing me off every time he comes up with men on base and hits the ground ball to shortstop. I've said all of this. I will criticize every single one of them players. I don't give a damn who you are. Okay? They could bring Juan Soto over here, whom I love, and once he does something I don't like, I will speak about it. I don't hold back. But don't tell me, oh, well, look at McNeil. Well, McNeil gave me a game-winning hit the other day, damn it. Pete Alonso has 6 home runs. You want me to criticize Pete Alonso?
Yeah.
He had a game-time home run. You want me to criticize Harrison Bader and put him in the same shoes? Well, I don't expect him to be that big of an offensive player, but even he has contributed offensively. So, yeah, we're going to talk about his defense because that's what he's there for. Tyrone Taylor has done more offensively than Francisco Lindor.
That's the truth.
So, shout out to, I forget who it was in here in the comments who said, yo, the season is 6 months. Lindor sometimes plays 3 out of 6. And I got to give him a pass for the other 3 months for that? Nah.
I agree with you. So,
and that goes for everybody, though. That goes for everybody. So trust me, next time. Oh, I'm sorry. Patty's sensitive with the hearing. And anybody who's sensitive with the hearing, I'm sorry. I got to tone it down for you guys. Next time one of these guys screw up, look for me because I will get on them. It's not just Francisco Lindor. But I can't say nothing about this guy without everybody telling me how great he is. Well, stop showing it, damn it. Stop letting these people tell me you're great. Show me. And I'm not saying he's not, guys. I just want to freaking win. Every freaking year I want to win. So I'm not putting away 2024. And he shouldn't either. Yeah. And I'm not saying that he is. Right, so he should come out here to prove everybody wrong. Or the front office, you don't want to make moves? We're going to show you that we're good, damn it, and you're going to have to make moves. But we need Francisco Lindor to be involved in that, please, before it's too late. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's where I talk about Rob. That's where I talk about this team not gelling yet. When I talk about this team not gelling, I'm talking about Francisco Lindor and his struggles. I'm talking about Alvarez and his recent struggles because I agree with you, Hector. Alvarez has not been coming up in spots where you should be
That's
situationally
been crazy.
hitting and getting an RBI, and he's been failing. As a young player, I understand this, but if we're giving him the hype, he needs to perform. And it goes like through the line. Pete Alonso also, he deserves all the credit in the world. He's been producing, but there's certain situational times that he's popped up as well where I'm like, Pete, like if you want your bag, you gotta prove yourself there. And so it's definitely not just about Lindor.
Well, and
It's
like
definitely
somebody
not.
else said before, CP, I'm sorry. This first pitch swinging crap. If you're not gonna be good at it, stop doing it. I can't see you swing first pitch and pop it up to the infield or foul. Like, come on with that crap already. And Pete does it all the time too. I'm tired of seeing solo home runs. Every other day comes in the game. Man on second and third, pop up. Man, pop up. And then when there's nobody on base, solo home run. I don't like that crap either. Hit him when there's somebody on base.
Can I ask y'all something though? And I haven't taken a look at the raw numbers because I know Francisco Lindor's are definitely worse, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here. And by the way, we should definitely not end with this because the Mets are on a high road right now, and we got to talk about something else. This is this is a necessary conversation though. Do you think that Francisco Lindor's numbers, and I just saw, I forgot who said it. Jay said it. I think Lindor's horrible numbers take the heat off of everyone else. Do you think that Lindor's bad numbers take a little heat off of Brandon Nimmo, who also really hasn't been as impressive as we all know Brandon Nimmo to be? Do you think that or no?
No, not at all. You know why? Because he's a homegrown Met. That's why. The same thing with Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso could be struggling just as bad. Nimmo and Pete Alonso could be struggling just as bad as Francisco Lindor. They would not get the treatment like Lindor because they're homegrown. And I wanted to disagree with you, Chris, earlier
I agree with
the Pete Alonso situation. With the whole treating Lindor because of just money. That's the reason why he's getting treated like this. No, he's not. Because I tell you right, if Pete Alonso's making $33 million next year and he's poorly performing like Lindor is doing next year with the big contract, you think he's going to get treated like Lindor? Not even close. Not even close.
Wow, people don't want to give him $30 million a year already.
People
don't want to give him $30 million a year already, so that's already going to be a problem.
No, I agree with you. But
hold on, Rob, real quick. You could go. Carlos, his 40 home runs didn't mean nothing to me either last year, bro. Nobody's numbers meant nothing. Brandon Nimmo, great, 24 robs, whatever, 24 robs, 24 home runs he hit for 25 meant nothing. It meant something for them personally. For us, the fans, for me, I was just as miserable as I was in 2022. It didn't mean nothing.
No,
it meant nothing.
Heck, this is the problem that I have. That's why I always tell all these fans, and I keep on saying it, keep the same energy like you do with Lindor on the negative side and get it on him when he's doing bad. But when Nimmo goes 0 for 15 and not doing anything at the leadoff spot, not getting his walks, when Alonso, who was about 4 or 5 games ago, he was 0 for 10 and looked terrible at the plate when everybody else was doing their job, when Nimmo was getting hot and McNeil was getting hot. Alonso was nowhere to be found. Yet I didn't hear no negativity towards Pete Alonso.
But Rob, be fair though. Be fair, Rob. The 0 for 10 for Pete Alonso followed what? You didn't like it. You didn't like it. No, but he was doing well, right?
I agree.
So that's what it is. Like Lindor's giving us nothing. Brandon Nimmo hit a game-tying 3-run homer.
Yeah, but that was after his slow start. Every series he was terrible until the Atlanta series.
Okay,
and there was nothing.
We're still waiting for Lindor.
No, I agree with you. But my thing is not about not getting on Lindor. I think we all should get on Lindor. There's no reason why you can't get on Lindor, the player, not his family, the player itself.
Right.
But my problem is the fact that Met fans keep the same energy, and this goes for myself as well. You guys can call me out on it if I go against my word. The fact of the matter is, if Pete Alonso, or I'm going to stick to Pete Alonso because he is the guy for the Mets, right? He's the face of the franchise right now when it comes to homegrown guys, right? If he's making $33 million, I don't think he's going to make that much, but say somebody comes up with a big offer and the Mets have to match it. He's making close to Lindor money per year. Do you really think if he's performing, whatever Lindor's numbers are, what is it? 190, 2 home runs, 1 home run, and a couple of RBIs, and struggling basically the first half of the month of April or whatever month it is, are they gonna treat Alonso the same way they're gonna treat Lindor? They won't. You know why? Because a lot of these Met fans, and yeah, I'm gonna call some Met fans out because I know there's diehards, I know there's real Met fans. It's the Met fans who are the casual fans who pick up a game now here and there, go to one game a year, even though they live like 5 minutes away. And don't tell me about it costs too much because I can buy you a ticket for $2 when the Mets are bad, right? Don't tell me that you're gonna get on Alonso just as much as you're gonna get on Lindor. You're not. It's just not it. If Lindor was a homegrown guy and getting paid what he was, he would be getting more love than what he is right now. And the reason why Alonso is not going to get that treatment and Nimmo's never going to get, Nimmo's making money. Nimmo's making way more than anybody thought he can do. When he was struggling early in the year, did anybody talk about Nimmo? Or did I hear boo birds with Nimmo? Did I hear people threatening, Nimmo's family? No, it was only Lindor. Why is that? Because he's not the homegrown guy and he's getting paid a lot of money. He is basically the outsider on this team wearing the same colors. That's the problem that I have. That's the only problem that I have.
Let me ask you something, Rob, though. How many games did you go to before you moved down south? I didn't go to open.
I was in the moving process, but I if I'm not mistaken, I probably went to 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So, okay. And before I saw you there, how many games you had? Well, that was the last game you went to, so you had already gone to 3 games, right?
Correct. And opening day. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm lying. 3 games. You're right. I'm sorry. That's right. Because I moved not too much, a day or two after that. A couple days after that. Yeah.
No, because my question to you is because I went to the Monday game against the Tigers and I went to the doubleheader. I went to the doubleheader that you was at.
Yeah.
And I went this weekend sometime, right? But anyways, my point is I didn't go too much before the whole let's give the standing ovation. But watching on TV and stuff like that, was Lindor getting booed like off GP right away? Like when he came up,
it's not even just the booze though. It's about the social media.
No, exactly. But I want to make sure that we highlight that because as someone who goes to the games, people are gonna hear that and say, okay, Rob goes to the games. He knows they were being booed. So I want to be sure that he's not getting booed. When I go to the games, I don't hear him getting booed. I hear results getting booed sometimes, but that goes for everybody.
Of course. Yeah, and that should happen. But that should happen to all the players, though, because Pete Alonso popped up runners on the ball, and nobody said a word. Everybody was just quiet. And we were at that doubleheader before he hit that big home run. He was struggling mightily in that series in Detroit against Detroit in Citi Field. He wasn't doing well at all. Hector, I heard you across the rows screaming and pacing back and forth, yelling, right? When Ottavino gave up that home run, you go, what are you doing? I'll tell you, Hector, please go to a game with
I would have done the same thing, bro.
Adam
Ottavino drives me crazy, man. Hey, listen. What? I hate to change the topic, and I'm not going to change the topic.
Go ahead.
I have one question that I want to ask Hector, just like because Rob, we've talked about this before all offseason. And this is the grand old question with the Mets that we could talk about individual players, we could talk about Lindor, we could talk about Pete Alonso individually, etc. Hector, do you believe in this core that the Mets have invested in financially? And I'm just going to include Alonso in that conversation just for the sake of this conversation, right? If they extend him. Do you believe in the core that the Mets have invested long term to bring this team, this organization, a championship? I'm talking about, first of all, I'm talking about Pete Alonso if he's extended. I'm talking about Brandon Nimmo. I'm talking about Francisco Lindor. I'm talking about Edwin Diaz, and I'm talking about Jeff McNeil. Those 5 players. You could lump in Francisco Alvarez in there too. Those 6 players. I would throw away Francisco Alvarez just because he's the young guy and just talk about the guys who've already gotten paid or will get paid here within the next year. Do you believe in that core to bring this team a championship? Because the Mets don't really have a starting pitcher. Kodai Senga's not invested in for the foreseeable future, by the way. They're going to need to pay him again at some point soon.
Hector, I'm gonna let you get to it in a second, but I just want to say, I've said this for a while, Chris. I'm glad you put that question up because we talked about it last season. I talked about it
Endlessly.
a lot during the Mets hot stove, during the offseason as well, Mets spring training live, all that fun stuff. I don't know about this core. And the Mets paid Nimmo, they paid McNeil, they paid Diaz, they paid who they needed to pay, which is okay. I understand it because if you believe in it, but again, this wasn't David Stearns giving them that money. This was Billy Epler. All right, so Billy Epler and I think it was Sandy Alderson with McNeil, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been Billy Epler, but it was different GMs that gave these contracts to these guys. All right, Alonso's the last one. I'm going to throw him in there because I think the Mets will re-sign him. But if you resign Pete Alonso, David Stearns, Steve Cohen, all the brass, the front office brass, all the big people that make the decisions, you're telling your fan base that this is the core. You want them to go into their prime and take this team to the next level, regardless of who you bring in. Juan Soto, Santander, who knows how many starting pitchers we might need next year. The fact of the matter is, if you tell me that you're going to give Alonso a big contract, and now you're going with this core 4, core 5, whatever you want to put as the core, you're telling me as an organization that you believe that that core is going to take you to the promised land. I'm not talking about making consecutive playoffs, which will be nice for a franchise who didn't make it more than twice in a row in their franchise history. The fact of the matter is, that's what you're telling me. I don't know, because I've said this. You have to make a decision. There's one guy you can make a decision money-wise with Pete Alonso if you want to change this core, but you can also trade Jeff McNeil to change up this core 4, core 5 guys. So there is possibilities to change in this core. If the Mets end up having a season that they don't make the playoffs, you're going to tell me you're bringing back the core that has choked in 2022, were terrible in 2023, didn't make the playoffs in 2024 if that happens. And this is also including McNeil, Nimmo, and Alonso. Since 2019 has done absolutely nothing with this organization and has not put this team over the top and put this team on their shoulders. Until they do that, you can't tell me you trust this core going forward in 25, 26, 27 in their prime. You just can't.
I'm going to say this right now, Rob. I don't think that core has had the great supporting cast. Even in 2022, I did not believe in Eduardo Escobar. I did not believe in Mark Hanna. And I think that was a fluke year because I didn't believe in those guys as starters. That's what I'll say. I think if they have a great supporting cast. But the thing is like with a great core, absolutely needing a great supporting cast is a hard sell as well because those guys should be able to carry the load. You talk about 5 or 6 guys. But I will say they did not have great supporting casts in any one of those years. Personally,
that's fine. But you know what? They won 101 games with that supporting cast that nobody think that was good enough. They won 101 games, but when Marte went down, where was the core? There was nowhere to be found. They actually were nowhere near in existence in September when Marte went down early in September when he got hit by that pitch. Right? Where was Alonso? Where was Nimmo? Where was McNeil? Where was Lindor? During that time in September when we choked the division away, when we didn't really have to play that good to win that division, right? They weren't there. So I'm not just looking at the supporting cast because I know the supporting cast matters. I understand it does. But, you know, I see teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks who basically had 2 guys that people knew of that got to a World Series. Who was their supporting cast? They pitched well, but that was basically it. But it wasn't a core guys in their for the most part in their rotation. They had some good young kids, but nobody that has been established yet. You know what I'm saying?
Valid.
Supporting cast.
Rob, the Diamondbacks.
Hold on. The supporting cast are like role players in your lineup, right? They're the guys that will occasionally win you ball games, but they're guys that are a hit and miss. That's what they are. Role players and supporting cast are hit or miss. I'm not talking about Juan Soto, because if you get Juan Soto next year, he's going to be a part of this core for a long time. But I'm talking about guys like Harrison Bader, like Tyrone Taylor, guys like that. Guys like, Joey Wendell, or you really want to think about it, Brett Beatty, who is probably not in that core yet, but is on the fringe. Right now he's a supporting cast, even though he's been playing well. I'm not considering him a part of that core yet, because just because he had 2 good weeks, I'm not putting him in that core yet until he does it for, shows numbers throughout the season. So supporting cast is important, absolutely. But I don't care what supporting cast you have. If your core doesn't do the job, this team is not going nowhere. And then you're going to tell me, let's sign Alonso and bring back the same 4 or 5 guys, telling me to go for the next 5-6 years, regardless of the supporting cast? You're going to tell me this team is the team that the core you want to go with for the next 4 or 5 years, regardless of the pitchers you bring here or the acquisition for position player wise you bring in here? Yeah, it might help, but if the core guys don't do the job, I don't give a damn who you are, right? The Padres, how many core guys did they have? They had a ton of supporting cast the last couple of years. Why didn't they win? So it's about the core guys that need to do the job, right? We always talk about the core 4 with the Yankees during their dynasty in the late 90s, right? Yes, it was the Scott Brosiuses with the big hits, the Paul O'Neills with the big hits, the Tino Martinezes, the David Justices of the world. God forbid I say Luis Sojo supporting cast, but who was it? It was Jeters. It was the Posadas, the Bernie Williams, those guys.
Hector, what you got? Hector, what you got?
I thought it was a simple question. Well, not simple. It was like, okay, I got to think about this. But Rob just threw a whole.
It's never simple on the round table.
Yeah.
Man.
Rob just threw a whole lot of stuff out there. And listen, I hear what you're saying, Rob, because I've been of that mentality, right? And in last season, when everybody brought up, the 6 through 8 hitters or 6 through 9, the 6 through 9 hitters or whatever, all these guys are not getting it done. And I'm like, no, it's not about those guys. Was Pete Alonso doing? He ain't getting it done. I see Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil come up back to back with men on base and less than 2 outs, and both of them make out. I watched a game with Lindor, Alonso, and McNeil came up back to back with men on second and third, and we didn't get a run. So don't talk to me about 6 through 9. So I understand what you're saying. But when we started this early on, we talked about going to go play the Dodgers, and you guys are telling me how the Dodgers 1 through 5 is so strong, but their 6 through 9 is not so strong. So they have a weakness. So we can't dismiss the supporting cast, right?
No.
So you want to mention the Diamondbacks? You want to tell me, oh, the core, this and this and that, they didn't really have all that core. But because their supporting cast, the floor for them wasn't as low as the Mets floor has been for the last few years with that supporting cast, right?
But that's also because of the core not doing their job.
Hold on, Rob. Exactly. So right now, what's going on this season, right? What's happening right now? Because I had this conversation with somebody last night, right? As much as I'm talking about Lindor and this and that, where people say you got to give him time, right? As much as we could talk about Alvarez keep going into freaking double plays when men on base, you know what I'm saying? We could talk about all that. But what's making this team successful? The supporting cast, right? The Tyrone Taylor coming through. The DJ Stewart coming through. Harrison Bader coming through. So don't dismiss the supporting cast, because what the supporting cast allows you to do is that we're not looking every day for Peter Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Jeff McNeil to win us the game, because these guys could come out and surprise us and win us a game. Where before they were giving us nothing. We were getting nothing from Tomas Nido, and I can't even think. Oh my gosh, from Vogel Walks. What the hell are we getting from him? Vogel walks, Vogel looks, call him whatever you want, except for a freaking hitter. You understand what I'm saying? So the supporting cast is always important. Now,
well, I think the supporting cast for this during the season is important, but when it comes down to late in the year, I think
you always need your big guys, brother. You always need your big guys. Of course, you always need the big guys.
But when the going gets tough, you need your big guys to put your team on your shoulder. We don't need Zach Short and Joey Wendell and Tyrone Taylor to carry this team in September.
Zach Short and Joey Wendell would not get this team in September.
You ain't winning shit. I don't care what anybody says.
In 2022, though, who did the Mets trot out there? You talk about 1 through 5 in the top heavy lineup. We talk about 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, maybe. Who was it? Tomas Nido. You talk about Daniel Vogelback, and who else? Mark Canha. 3 guys that I absolutely expected nothing out of every single time they came up to the plate. I'm not going to lie to you.
And they gave us nothing.
And they gave us nothing too. So it's like, I understand. I think we're both making sense here. Like the supporting cast should be the ones to like put the team on their shoulders, but let's not act like the last time around that the Mets had an opportunity to go deep in the playoffs in 2022. We had a black hole 7 through 9. It was absolutely abysmal. Like I was never ever expecting anything from those guys.
It takes a 40-man roster to win a championship.
Absolutely.
It takes a 40-man roster. You know what I'm saying? And even more, because that 40-man roster might change throughout the year, right? Whether you drop guys, bring guys, whatever the case may be. To answer the question, do I believe in this core? I don't know. I think that's what we're trying to find out, right? That's what the front office is trying to find out.
We agree on something? What's going on here, man?
No, because we've seen it. We've seen it, right? We've had this conversation for more than 2 years. You went back all the way to 2019 because a lot of the guys have been here since then. You're right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure. Now, I saw Carlos say, well, if you bring in supporting cast, if you bring this, then it's not about this core. No, it could still be about this core, and you can adjust the core a little bit.
Supporting cast is not bringing Juan Soto.
Like no. But it strengthens your core, right? It strengthens your big guys, right?
Yes.
And CP was reluctant to it, but no, we can add Francisco Alvarez as part of that core, and we can even add Brett Beatty as part of that core. And,
I'm not there
yet. And they can. No, I'm not saying we're there yet, but we're not there yet with the whole thing. You're not there with them. I'm not there yet with Lindor and Pete Alonso.
Well, how about this? Yeah, heck, how about this? How about the Mets don't sign Pete Alonso and they trade Jeff McNeil and hold on.
No, I'm laughing at
a valid point. That's a valid point.
Hold on. But we put Brett Beatty and Alvarez to replace those two guys in the core with Lindor and Nimmo. Is it going to change? Is it going to be better? We don't know.
I'm sorry. Who do you? I wasn't laughing. I was laughing at something I saw. Who did you want to remove?
Okay, so say if the Mets don't re-sign Pete Alonso,
okay,
and they trade Jeff McNeil in the offseason.
Okay.
Now Beatty and Alvarez are now a part of the Lindor Nimmo core. Now those four guys. We don't know if it's going to be different, but it could be the best thing for this team because it's different. Because now you're relying on different guys and not the two guys that are not on this team anymore, who's been around since 2018, 2019 in Alonso and McNeil with Nimmo. And now that they haven't got the job done. So at some point you got to change this core if it's not working. Like if the Mets don't make the playoffs this year, what are we doing? We're just going to roll.
The Mets are not going to have any choice, though. I think we're all forgetting this. They're already invested in guys that are not going to be traded, right? You can't trade a Brandon Nimmo contract. You can't trade an Edwin Diaz contract. You're not going to trade Francisco Lindor's contract. So we're kind of talking about an endless topic here, and we're kind of in purgatory because this core has already been invested in, right? If you let Pete Alonso walk, you already have 3 other mega contracts that you're not going to get out of. So what's the point of letting him walk? That's how I view it, to be honest with you. Now, that might not be the right line of thinking because we're talking about an 8-year contract. What's the point of giving another 8-year contract? That might be just like adding like fuel on top of the fire. But like this core's already been invested in. Is it sunken assets like Steve Cohen said this past trade deadline, or do they actually believe in it? That's what's going to be the key here. And they're having these discussions as well.
I'm sorry. I thought it was done. But you also got to surround them with the right players too. So I'm not so sure that we've been surrounding Pete with the right guys. You know what I mean? I'm not so sure that we bringing in the Mark Cannas and all that was the right guys. You should have guys that are going to get on base in front of him and let him succeed or fail multiple times, but give him more chances to come up there with men on base and make something happen.
Is it the support in front of him or behind him? Because you can change.
I'm just talking about in general. Don't think because I'm saying have guys to get on base.
How many more home runs is Pete Alonso going to hit and more RBIs if say Juan Soto or Santander is hitting behind him? How much more? Like is 5 more home runs and 10 more RBIs in his total home runs and RBI total? Is it going to make us win 75 games and it's going to get us to 82 wins, or is it going to get us to 85 wins from 90 to 90 wins? Like we're talking two different things here that I think we're all on the same page, but on different arguments. Like you were saying, the support of in front of him not getting on base. Well, we can change that. Marte might not be here next year. They might get rid of his and might make that a sunk cost and get rid of him and bring up Drew Gilbert, who might be slotted in that 2 spot. And then Lindor will still be third, but Nimmo gets on base. Marte gets on base.
Yeah, bro, I wasn't talking about the 2 guys immediately hitting in front of him.
I think it's behind him.
If you got guys at the bottom of the order that are not getting on base, that hurts too. Because if those guys get on base, that still gives him more opportunities. Now he could come around faster in the order. You know what I'm saying? Now you get to hit more times in the order and stuff like that. It's not just about those guys.
I don't know how much more Pete Alonso can do with a guy behind him that say like a Juan Soto. Like, what is he gonna hit?
It's not about what Pete Alonso can do. It's about when Pete Alonso doesn't get it done, the supporting cast is able to help. You understand what I'm saying? We didn't have a supporting cast that was necessarily able to help. That's what we're trying to get at. You know what I mean? So if you make them better, it makes everybody better. Just
sure, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry. You were saying something?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think honestly this topic has been exhausted, if I'm personally speaking, with the Mets being winners of 10 of 13 within our last half-hour conversation. We would have never even known that. We'd be thinking that the Mets are going nowhere.
We forgot about that. CP. Thanks for reminding us. Look how we're all smiling again, everybody. Good job by you.
So, as you guys know,
let's have some real fun, Rob. Come on, let's have some real fun.
So all right. So we know tomorrow is a big day, I guess, for the Mets. They're going to introduce their City Connect jerseys. Who knows if they're going to be black and purple, black and white and purple, pink, blue, green, polka dots, who knows? Hector, I want to get your thoughts because I think the theme of the jersey or whatever it might be, if the leaks are true, okay, fine. But if like I don't know, like I think the theme, the idea of the jersey and the colors make sense to me, but I think they're gonna fuck it up. I mean,
honestly, Rob, I don't know if I can add it. On the jersey stuff, I could care less, man. I don't really pay attention too much. People are going wild trying to figure out what it is. It just doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean? I don't care what they wear. Just go out there and win ball games. I said this before I forgot. It might have been to Eddie. Everybody knows Eddie Capwiz, whatever. He does all this jersey stuff for the Knicks and Mets. It might have been him. It might have been with the City Connect. But I was like, yo, I don't give a damn what they wear. They could wear moon suits. Go out there and win ball games. Now, I don't want to see you in your birthday suits. Wear something. But I don't get caught up in it. I really don't. But I just want to shout out Frank over here, man. He just made a comment about Alvarez, and I agree with you. He said that Alvarez is pressing too much. He just needs to have fun. I agree. I said the same thing about Pete, too. They need to trust themselves. Those are guys that all you got to do is put bat on ball, and most of the time you're going to hit it hard. Just trust themselves. They try to go up there, and they try to do too much. I just think they try to do too much. But on the jerseys, man, the City Connects, nah, I really don't have much. Listen, I just hope they don't look like the worst jersey I ever saw the Mets do was that Mercury Mets. Was it the Mercury Mets or whatever? Yeah. As long as it doesn't look like that, something like that, I don't care.
That's going to be a giveaway this year, too, of the Mercury Mets jersey.
I know. And I'll probably be there to get it like a dope.
Heck, what's funny? Like, if the concept that we've been seeing on social media, the gray with the black pinstripe and the NYC, if they get rid of that NYC and put Queens there, I'm good with it.
Now, is that going to be a road jersey or a home jersey? I don't know.
I don't think it matters. I think it's going to be a home jersey only. But even if it's like the White Sox have all black with the pinstripes, with that, so
the unveiling tomorrow is not like they're not going to wear it on the field. They're just going to, I guess, show them.
Yeah,
they're not wearing it on the road. Absolutely
they're only wearing it at home. But they're going to introduce.
That's how much I don't pay attention to that stuff. I really.
So
and to that point, Hector, I'm gonna say this right now, and I know this this is gonna sound like so old school of me, and I usually don't have these type of takes, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't give a shit about what the jersey looks like.
That's right.
Play
Exactly
great
the same thing.
baseball.
That's
That's
the
all
same
I
thing.
care. That's all I care about. And I never have these type of takes because I'm always about like, let's talk about the jerseys. Let's talk about like exciting factors of like just jerseys attracts like they attract fans. I'm not gonna lie to you. The fair weather fans, like you talked about, Rob, like
Yeah.
people are attracted to jerseys. Oh, I see a jersey I like. If a sport that I don't really pay attention to, I'm gonna root for that team. Okay, I get that, but it's like as a diehard Mets fan, I don't give a crap what they wear. Play good baseball. I'm gonna root for you, even if it's in purple. I don't care if you're wearing green. You can do like a St. Patty's Day green. I don't care. I'm gonna root for the Mets. That's all. That's all I
CP,
got.
I hate those fans. You know why? Because those are the fans that I run into the streets and I'd be like, let's go Mets. And they look at me like, what the hell am I talking about?
Like, what are you talking about?
You know what I'm
Exact. I
saying?
feel you. I feel
I'm
you. I
dead
feel
ass
you.
because it happens. I had a guy, I walked into the
I
doctor's
feel
clinic
you.
one time and I'm like, oh, let's go Mets. Nice hat. He's like, huh?
I ran into the same
Look at the hat.
situation
You're like,
like
oh
a
no.
week ago,
I
and
don't
it's
even
like
like
this
baseball. He
trend
said,
now.
CP, I don't even like baseball. He said, I just like the color.
Facts.
I don't know nothing about. I said, get out of my face.
This is like the new like Yankees like hat that everyone likes to wear for
Dude,
style now.
I didn't
Yeah.
say anything, but when I first saw that, I was about to turn this crap off. Like this guy's wearing a Yankee cap, and then you took it over with like this early, and I was like, oh, it's the Mets joint. Okay.
All right,
But
guys.
yeah, man, that whole I don't care about the fan with the fan buying the jersey. I don't give a damn about none of that stuff because I don't want to run into those people in the streets and say let's go Mets and they don't respond. I like it. Like the other day, lady was walking by, she had a message, let's go Mets. Older lady too. She was like, let's go Mets, baby. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
Not these fools that just want to buy this because it looks good. Go buy that stupid Yankee hat for that.
Exactly. I agree with that 100%. All right, guys. So we spent an hour and 40 minutes
Yeah,
talking
unreal.
about our boys. They're playing the Dodgers next tomorrow, West Coast trip. 6 games, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Giants. We talked about Lindor. We had a big conversation about that with Alonzo for
We
a
love Lindor.
Yep, exactly. And we're on the PSF app still. We're over an hour and 40 minutes. So everybody listen on the PSF app. We had consistent 19 to 20, around 22 people consistently in the PSF app. So make sure you subscribe.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Subscribe to my channel, Talking Mets and Rob, CP Mets and Knicks. You got Chris, YouTube channel as well, Mets Talk with Hayden. And Hector, because he's too cool for school, doesn't have an official YouTube channel yet, but follow
It's
him
coming.
for sure.
It's coming. It's coming.
If you know him calling on WFN, the overnights with Salicata, and trying to call BT and Sal, never getting through except for the other day, I believe.
I get through every now and then.
Make sure you follow us on X and make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. So we're going to do the final thoughts right here, guys, to end this very, very long Mets roundtable, but it's an off day. Who cares, right? That's why we're here. We're here to entertain. And I think we kind of did that, even though we yelled at each other a lot today, which is always fun. I like to yell.
It's nothing, no hard feelings, not at each other, guys. Don't take it. Like I'm saying, if you're listening, I'm not mad at these guys. Love these guys. They've welcomed me into what they were already doing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no beef. I'm just an animated person. And I love this team. You know what I mean? And I said sometimes I can't stand them. Sometimes they make me sick. You know what I mean? But Rob, we can't get out of here without talking about the rally guy. I don't even want to call him a rally.
The pimp that Andy Martino said we shouldn't be showing any
passion to pimp.
You said it, not me, Rob. Right? You said it, not me.
I'm trying.
So, you know what we got to do to piss off Andy Martino? Everybody's got to buy that pimp jacket. The
Dude,
neon.
I'm about to buy it. I would never wear that in my life, right? I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw that dude, I was like, "Who the hell is this clown?" But you know what?
It's working.
Rallied, let's go. You know what I mean? And every time they show him, boom, something happens. So I'm with it.
We got the rally pimp. Hell yeah.
The whole pimp thing. Like, let's be fair. He didn't call himself a pimp. The people did that.
Correct,
because that's how we are. We relate that to be the pimp right away. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then Andy Martino, of course, the Mets party pooper. And listen, I've even defended him lately because when it comes to information,
he's solid.
Sometimes he's solid. He's solid. When it comes to his opinions, save him, dude. Nobody cares because it's always trying to put the Mets down. I don't understand. Always. You mentioned Sal. I've argued with Sal about this a million times because Sal wants to defend them. This is a topic that me and Sal cannot
It's
talk
his coworker, though. It's his coworker. You know he's not going to talk.
I don't give a damn.
It's a
He
fact.
stinks. He hates the Mets for whatever reason. He thrives on sharing bad news when it comes to the Mets. Like he holds on to it, and boom. Like whenever he can get a chance, and today it's an off day, how can I rile up the Met fans? Oh, let me pick on something that they're loving right now, that they're all grasping on to, that's giving them joy. Oh, and I don't even know what the hell he said. I couldn't even read it. I saw it because other people put it because he blocked me a long time ago. Long time ago, Andy Martino blocked me, and it's one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life because I don't get to see his crap. You know, it's only when Sal puts him on SNY and I text him like, "Oh, there goes that dope again," and we always, we go back and forth. But like this whole thing, like, and listen, you don't want to call him a rally pimp, okay? Whatever, the rally guy, whatever. But you know what? Now, because of Andy Martino, the rally pimp is in the stage, chump.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because like the Mets are 10-3 in their last 13, and Andy Martino has to have a negative take on the Mets. That's why we don't like him as Mets fans, not because he says his opinions and he reports what he reports. Whatever, we know he's a under the table Yankees fan and blows half the players on that team all the time, and doesn't give any credit to the Mets at all. And I guarantee you the Mets can win the World Series and you'll find Andy Martino saying something negative about some, the ball boy or something like that's been with the Mets for like 6 years. Like he'll say something. So let me get your final thoughts, Chris. I'll start with you. Final thoughts going into the West Coast trip against the Dodgers, against Yamamoto for Game 1. What are your final thoughts?
Support Max Wiener. That's all I gotta say. Support Max Wiener. And that's all I gotta say, man. Let's go Mets, man. We had a lively discussion. I mean, it's an off day. It's an hour, 50 minutes we're going on here. Listen, I appreciate everyone in the chat. As always, thank you all for being engaged. Thank you all for just submitting your comments and keeping us on our toes. A lot of good information, like MEZ, Ricardo, or earlier in the stream, were like telling us about XYZ, and we're like, oh wait, we should probably talk about those players, right? Fujinami, Iglesias, etc. So we appreciate it. Carlos Ramos, Carlos Ortiz, everybody, man. I appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the PSF app as well, and everybody listening on the PSF app. We're going to be doing in-game live streams as well on the PSF app and YouTube, hopefully at the start of next week. I know our schedules are kind of messed up. The weekend is going to be crazy with the Rangers and the Knicks playoffs starting for me because I'm going to be doing post games for both of those games. Spoiler alert on my channel. I have Knicks post game and Rangers post game on my channels coming up Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, but next week in game sometime, Rob, let's set that up for the chat. To be the first in game of the season, I believe. And like I said, the Mets are playing fantastic ball. Everything that we talked about, the core and this and this and that. Listen, that's something for like the overarching Mets fan in us. Like that's not talking about what we are witnessing on the field right now. You listened to Rob and I's post game yesterday, right? You know how we feel about this team right now. They're playing phenomenal baseball, and we are never going to take that away from them. And especially going to this Dodgers series, that we can't stand this Dodgers organization at all. So let's go out there, take this series. Let's take the series and let's take it to Mr. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, because you know what? He done messed up. Yamamoto, I'm sure you're never going to watch this, but if you somehow stumble upon this, I'm not sure who sends this to you. If you're sitting here, maybe it's even the night before your start against the New York Mets, I hope you know I'm rooting for your downfall. I'm rooting for it. Let's go Mets, baby. As always, let's go Mets.
Absolutely. Hector, your final thoughts, my friend.
Yo, explosive diarrhea. I hate it when Sal said NL East is over too, man. Trust me. I argue with that guy
I was working when he said that, and I'm like, no.
I argue with him so much about that. It was incredible. My final thought is, I'm gonna try to keep it short. First things first, excited to hear about you guys doing the live, the watch along, whatever the hell it's called, the game. And don't be afraid to invite me. I love doing those things. And
Let's have you on. Yes.
don't be afraid to invite me to one of your post games too, man. Don't just keep me to this rounds table stuff. I got to do a channel so I can become more official and I get invited to all these things. That's what it is.
First of all, listen, everybody in this chat right now, before you guys if you guys enjoy Hector's stuff on here, please comment in the chat that we need to get Hector YouTube channel and we all need to subscribe to Hector. I think you're going to have more than enough subscribers you start out. Hector, start the YouTube channel.
Absolutely, man. I already got you that logo, so we'll put it together. We'll help you out with it, man. I tell you.
I got you, brother. I'm going to hold you guys to that. But now, man, listen, I don't want to hold the people too long and try to get out of here before 2 hours, but this is incredible. My thoughts on the series coming up and this whole West Coast trip coming up is this, man, and I may have mentioned to these guys before. I am somebody like, well, we're going to go play the Kansas City Royals and they come off a 7-game winning streak. I embrace that. Like, let's go. I like playing teams that are hot, right? Because I think about the law of averages. That team is due to cool off, right? I don't like playing teams that are struggling. So when everybody's telling me right now that the Dodgers are struggling, I'm like, oh, crap. Especially a team like the Dodgers. We can talk as Met fans. I can't stand the freaking Dodgers. Trust me. Goes all the way back to 88. I cannot stand them. Can't stand them. But they are the perennial favorites to go out here and demolish teams, right? We know if the lineup is clicking, they can put up 8 to 10 runs with no problem. And now they're struggling. So that's the only thing that kind of like, man, I hope they don't turn it around on us because we've been hot. So the law of averages also says we got to kind of cool off a little bit too, right? But what I'm hoping is that this team, just like it's the same thing for hitters, guys. A guy goes into a slump, the good hitters are able to limit that slump for a short period of time. The great hitters barely go into a slump, and when they do, they're right out of it. The scrubs, it could be 2-3 months, and they're in this slump. You know what I'm saying? The bad teams, like the Mets did last year, will win you 4 games in a row, and they go and lose 5.
Yeah.
Then they go win 3 and lose 2, win 1, and then lose another 3. That's what we can't have, and that's what I don't want to see. So, yeah, I hope we continue to stay hot. I want to go out there and win at least 2 from both of these teams. 2 from the Dodgers. I know we're just focusing on the Dodgers, but I'm taking it the whole trip. 2 from the Dodgers and 2 from the Giants. I want to come back 4-2 at minimum. But I also am a little weary of the law of averages and the Dodgers being able to turn it around on us. Just don't go out there and get swept. Do not go out there and get swept. Do not go out there after all this and go on a 4 or 5 game losing streak and come back 1-5 from that trip. That's what I can't see.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for us. And also, guys, I can't believe I'm even going to say this, but we could lose, let's say, 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. But how did we lose those games?
Correct.
You know, if we have our guys getting shellacked, then we're like, damn, can this pitching really get it done against the good teams? You know, if we go out there and we can't score no runs, Yamamoto shuts us down. I don't give a damn what he did in Japan. But this guy comes on here and shuts us down, and whoever else TBD shuts us down. If TBD shuts us down, I'm gonna have a problem. You understand what I'm saying? So it also depends on how you play. You lose a tough game, you didn't get a break go here and there. I can live with that.
Yeah, absolutely, and exactly. Like it's not sometimes when you're going into a road trip and you had a really good past 2 weeks of games. You want to show up, right? If you lose 2 out of 3 and it was competitive games, close games, you tip your cap to the other team. They had the better night. Get heck.
No, go ahead. Before you, well, I go because explosive diarrhea says something. Jose Budo is our ace right now. I don't know if I want to go that far, but I hear you, explosive what a fucking name, explosive diarrhea. And he's been having diarrhea in the chat because he's going on and on and on. But he just reminded me. That's also something that I'm looking forward to see, right? How is Jose Budo going to perform against this tough lineup? I'm not saying this is the end all be all, but I want to see. This is a big challenge for him. It's a big challenge for him with these guys. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be good to see too. As looking forward to the series too.
Absolutely. So guys, an hour and 55 minutes on a roundtable on a Mets off day while the Mets are sky high right now, going into a 6-game West Coast trip right now. First off is the Dodgers and Yamamoto in game 1. Let's keep the good times rolling here. Let's do everything that we've been doing over the last week and a half of games, situational hitting, big hits, late game runs, keep it going, good pitching from the bullpen and starting pitching, continue that going. Perform here. Listen, you're not going to win every game. We understand that. If you do, great. We're gonna go crazy on the next round table if they have a crazy 5-1, 6-0 road trip. We're just gonna. I mean, you might not even understand us how much we'll be on and going crazy. But the Mets are 10-8, 2 games over 500, 8-2 in their last 10, 10-3 in their last 13. They just swept the Pirates. Now they got the Dodgers. Once again, guys, it was a pleasure to chat. We couldn't have done it without you today. The PSF app for the constant 22 people in the stream on the PSF app right now. We do appreciate you guys as well. But don't forget to check us out on YouTube. CP Mets and Knicks. He does Mets, Knicks, Rangers content as well. And then when the Giants come around, he even does some of that as well. Hector, get him on X. We will get him a channel so you can even get into him.
And I will be doing stuff on the Knicks and all of that too, because just like CP, listen, I'm all about my Knicks too. I just got into the Mets, and that's what caught on, so I stick with that. And every now and then I told some stuff about the Knicks. I was actually going to do a video on the Knicks today, and I got caught up. But yeah, let's go Knicks and all that too, baby. And yeah, eventually we're going to get on there with a channel, man. My bad, Rob. I keep interrupting.
Absolutely. So, guys, another Mets Roundtable in the books. Thank you to the PSF app. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Constantly 195 people in the stream on YouTube today. So I do appreciate it. Guys, once again, let's go Mets.
LFGM, baby.
Have a good night. We'll see you next time, guys. Have a great night. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
LFGM. That PG crap, man. We got to do it rated R like Pete Alonso, baby. LFGM. That's the PG version.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball.